Got it all set up now. I was like, since UFC 251 is still a big topic, and I still driving, still trying to test out everything on here. All right, now we're back. Try that again. I was like, you know what? For DC and ARIEL HELWANI, come on, they've been postponing the show for a minute now. Let me hop up on that thing. Talk a little bit of UFC 251. And I'm on here. I said we're talking UFC 251 this past weekend. Let me know what you all thought about the event, the main event, co-main event. We could talk about it. And if you're like, look, I want to keep talking about some sports that happened, the breaking news going on today with the Washington Redskins and the news about Russell Wilson. I keep saying that, and Russell Westbrook. Talk about that too. Any topic you want to talk about. Hey, you want to talk about WWE Raw tonight? We can talk about that as well. I'm very flexible when it comes to that. I want to welcome everyone who is on here talking. We're going to be doing everything here, almost like a mini mukbang here. All right. But also, if you even through this, like I said, I'm always just trying everything out. If you want to pop up as a guest, you can also do that. You can let me know in the comment section about that. We are here and to talk about it, man. We got to talk about that main event, man. Kamar Usman and Jorge Masvidal. That fight went exactly the way I thought it would. The whole time I was like, man, when that fight was made on 6 days notice, I was like, I got the feeling it's gonna be boring, but I got the feeling it's gonna happen. Usman's gonna do what Usman does. Russell, 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 Russell. Try hump. Russell, 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 Russell. Kick your feet, stump your feet, stump your feet. Russell, 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 Russell. Throw a couple punches, and that'd be it. And I just thought that was gonna happen, and that's basically what happened with Masvidal looking really good that first round. He really did. Um, he wasn't able to sustain it though. All right, guys. Keep things going here. And we are off. I gotta come up with a name for this. It comes to me just riding and driving. Makes 0 sense. Gotta pay attention. DC for Stipe. Man, I'm taking DC all day. DC versus Stipe. DC, like I was saying, DC all day. I If DC is smart, I don't think this fight would be that close because DC because DC has the wrestling. I know Stipe is also a wrestler, but he's not the same caliber of wrestler that DC is. And DC, if he puts in that work and he should be able to get the takedowns and really show up Stipe. Because if you look at it was really the second fight. We're gonna go with that. That second fight, a lot of people say, "Oh, it was back and forth." I don't, I don't see that second fight as being back and forth. It eventually got there, but yeah, in the beginning, I saw DC looking great. DC looking like the far better, superior fighter. DC was really using that wrestling to his advantage. Then all of a sudden, he decided to just stop using it, and that's something that he should not do. He should not want to get in a striking matchup with Stipe. He should really want to do the wrestling over and over and over again. And if he does that, DC is going to get the victory. DC is going to become the champion again. All right. That was a great question. Um, my reaction to Jan versus Aldo. My reaction to Jan versus Aldo is that it's tough. I never, I want to say this without being disrespectful. I didn't think Peter Young was going to be able to do what he did against Jose Aldo. Aldo looked great that first round. Aldo was looking pretty good. But then as the fight went on, things changed. Then that fifth round, all props to Young. He put it on Jose Aldo. And I am surprised that that fight didn't get stopped sooner. But Aldo really wasn't doing anything. And I don't get why it wasn't stopped, but they gave him every chance to defend himself, and he was not able to do it at all. But I'm like, what's but then the question to me now becomes, what's next for Odell? I know people are like whatever, but it's a thing. And if I lose my connection right here for a second, don't worry about it. I'll be back. We shall see what happens with this. But it's crazy. I'm like, what do you do next if you Jose Aldo? Because you're more than likely never going to get another title shot again unless you go on some crazy run. He's still pretty young. He could potentially do it. He is young age wise. He's old fight wise. A matchup that I was thinking about, I've heard a couple of people say as well Saturday night. How about you do Jose Aldo versus Dominic Cruz? Both guys are former champions, kind of past their prime. Both lost title fights. Not going to be a top contender anytime soon. Should be a fun matchup. would have been a great fight 5 years ago. Still some interest in it. I think that's the way you do for Aldo. To me, what's going to be next for Peter Young, you have to think. This is where things gets tricky because Dana didn't come out and say it. I would have liked for them to be like, okay, Peter Young's the champion. Aljamain Sterling is next. That's what it should be. But with him not saying it, makes you believe that I got this feeling that Marlon Moraes is going to get that title shot. And I think it's crazy. I know Marlon has the victory over Aljamain all those years ago, but Aljamain has recovered from that and done his thing. I think he deserves a chance at the title. I think Aljamain is the best in the world in that division. I'm so confident in Aldo that had things worked out and he was able to face him Cejudo, I would probably favor Aljamain anyway, because I just think this is Aljamain Sterling's time. But Young was very impressive against Aldo, so I'll have to reevaluate that fight now a little bit more than I would last week at this time. Yeah, man. Thanks for tuning in. Real video. Always mention to that after the channel. I do more MMA talk. I love to do MMA talk a lot, but sometimes the market don't be like, people like, oh, you want to talk MMA? I don't want to listen. I get it. But it's, all right, we're back here. Sorry about that. Jose versus Dominic. Aldo got to be next, but I feel your hunch on Marlon. Yeah. Yeah, you right. Yeah, I gotta say it just, and the reason why I say that is because it's from that because I watched Dana White press conference on Saturday night, and it really seems like he is determined to not give Aldo that title shot. I always feel like when everybody has a consistent person that we think should get a title shot, and Dana does come out and say it, and Dana kind of goes out of his way to name other people, that kind of tells you where I didn't grab that. It kind of tells you where he's actually leaning. So I think he's leaning towards Marlon, and that'll be sad if that happens, but it is what it is. I still think Aldo will be the champ. But I threw that out there about the Jose Aldo and Dominic Cruz. If they were to do that fight, who do you all think would actually be the favorite? Who do you think actually win? Because because the long layoffs that Cruz has had over the years, him just coming back and losing, him being older and all of his injuries, going against a guy like an Aldo. And Aldo did not look bad Saturday night, but let me just turn. Aldo didn't look bad, but no, I can understand. I give you that grappling wise. I just think the way that Aldo does things, I would agree with that. I know a lot of I know you think that's an unpopular opinion, and it is an unpopular opinion for a lot of people. Just not me. I am one of the ones who believe that his type of grappling, and he's on. That's how I look at it with Aljo. And I always say this: there's a group of fighters, and if I go real deep into it, I could probably find more. But there's always to me a certain group of fighters that I look at, and you like, if everything finally clicks, that's a champion. He's going to be hard to beat, and he's one of them. And I think we're starting to finally see that with him because not just name, and it all hasn't worked out like I thought it would. I'm just gonna throw it. Even if he wasn't my favorite fighter, I still would say this: a Tyron Woodley 5 years ago, Tyron Woodley 5 6 years ago is a perfect example of someone who you look at him, you like, he has everything in his arsenal to become champion. And when everything clicks, this guy will be the champion and he will be defending the title for a while. And that's what ended up happening with Tyron. He had all the skills. Some of y'all may think he's boring, whatever, but he has all the skills. And he was able to finally put it together against Bobby Laws and become champion. He's one of them. He did his thing. Another person is like a Kevin Lee. Also, he has all the skill. I think Al I. Crimson also said the same thing. Kevin Lee has all the tools, and he doesn't have. He was he had a we understand, kind of understand what happened with him. He was getting better every fight. Then obviously he lost his coach before this, and then things kind of went down here from there. He's trying to find himself again. Kind of understand what happened with him. But if he can still get everything together, he's still young. He has championship, dominant championship material all over him. He just needs to get in a great camp. I think he's and try starting out so if he can stay with them, that'll be good for him. Um, Aljo is one of those guys I see everything just goes together. He'll be just a dominant fighter. And like I said, things are going at him, and I don't think anybody can beat him. So I think Cejudo is very beatable. And that's the fight that I wish we would have been able to see. But I mean, I don't blame Cejudo. Cejudo's been a top level athlete for years. So for him to decide, hey, you know what? I'm gone. I get it. Like it froze up. So all right, sorry about that. I keep it 100, but everyone, I'm gonna go this way. Maybe it's a lot less chance I lose signal. I had to go pay the light bill. No, so I had to go pay the water bill. You know, as a matter in front of me, things been a little bit longer than I thought it would. Anyway, I'm back, and you asking about Sean O'Malley. Um, think about Sean O'Malley. He's a good young fighter. He's doing everything right so far. His competition hadn't been the best in the world, but he's still up and coming. They're trying to move him up slowly, but I think everybody involved realizes this kid is a star. I don't think they're in that big of a rush for him. Now, with him, if he goes, you want to see him against a top level uh, contender. Like, I know after the last movie, everybody was like, man, how about a Cody Garbrandt versus Sean O'Malley fight? At first, I was like, that's a big step up in competition with O'Malley. Now I'm starting to come around to the fact that I think he could beat Cody. I'm picking Cody to if that fight would have had, I would pick Cody Garbrandt. Don't get me wrong, but I think O'Malley has a lot better chance at beating him than I had previously given him credit for. So that happened, but I do think he will get some shot. Other than I think he honestly, if he keep aggressive, he's probably 2 or 3 fights away from having a title fight. And right now, for everything and how the match is crazy. But that's because I do see it. I do see Aldo eventually happen to John Jones fight by the end of the year. Hmm, that's a good one. I would. Hmm, John, that's a tough one. We're in July now, and I know John Jones is in this dispute with the UFC. I don't buy it. I think I think they're gonna come together and pay him. But you got to remember, Masvidal also was kind of saying the exact same thing that Jones was saying about money. We just saw that he just fought this past weekend. So I think the UFC will get things together for him. And I would say this: if if this was just a regular year, weren't dealing with COVID-19, I would probably say 100% yes. I think that John would fight. Some of the time we not seeing John still 2021. I don't see him. I don't see him coming back right now. I think he's gonna hold off until 2021. In my humble opinion, still good there. Yeah, let's see John Jones. That was a really good question. I had to really think about that. Yeah, I think 2021. Because it's going to be interesting to see because when you look at the options, we all know he wanted the Francis Ngannou fight. So he wanted Bones versus Ngannou to happen. Now, since we have Stipe versus DC, three books, and Ngannou doesn't have anybody. Yeah, I got to remember. So back when August comes, the winner of that fight, we have to believe. With, well, obviously, it doesn't matter because DC's retiring and Stipe can still be fighting. And Nganou's next in line for that. But do you see the UFC doing Ngannou versus Stipe 2? Especially because we all know how that first fight went. I could I could see Jones fighting Stipe for the bold prediction. We're gonna see John Jones versus Stipe Miocic, or yeah, no, that's gonna be the prediction. For some reason, I just don't. I think it's gonna be Jones versus Stipe for the title. That's gonna be Jones' next fight. Yeah, that'd be the next fight. We'll see out of those two. And I think if it doesn't happen this year, we'll see it in January. Also, I think a lot of that may depend on the time. I think it'll be that end of the year, early of the year card, depending on how the dates add up. That was, like I said, that was a great question. All right, we have another before the end of the year question. Do you think Conor McGregor fights before the end of the year? Um, I know Conor says he's retired. I'm not buying the fact that Conor McGregor is retired. He's said that way too many times. I throw that. I think he. I think we do see Conor fight this year. The question is, who does he fight against? That's that to me is the interesting uh, decision to make because he has plenty of options, and whatever option that it turns out to be is going to be a huge one. And it's also crazy because we had McGregor fight earlier. We had McGregor fight earlier this year, but since everything's happened in the world, that's felt like it's been 2, 3 years at this point, and he's just fought not that long ago. I mean, it's been a while. It's months ago. ago now, but it's just craziness. But I do think he will fight again. Oh, he'll fight again. Like he has plenty of options. He could potentially fight Masvidal. That would be a big money fight again for him. And that makes sense because Masvidal's stock really didn't go down with this card this past weekend. Um, they could throw out, they could give him Justin Gaethje. You never know. That could happen. Also, could be a situation where um, you could potentially see a Dustin Poirier.